that just seems like it would be a huge distraction and very unsafe.
Maybe lead to an accident.
Yeah. Lead to an accident. Thank you, Kelsey.
It's like there's a crazy Santa Michael Jackson guy.
Crash.
Like his moves, though. I'll work on that.
Spirits.
Let's look outside at traffic here with West Metro, where we do see 169 southbound continuing to build to the northeast. The heaviest traffic right now at that Forest Lake split, where drivers on I-35 coming down from the north side of town are splitting off on 35W and 35E, but not a lot of yellows and oranges popping up quite yet, except on those roadways where we have some major intersections, some stoplights, and of course drivers forced to slow down in those areas just because, well, that's what red means at a stoplight, and so therefore some of our spots on our map are reflecting that. 35W northbound from Burnsville up to Bloomington still moving along. In about the next half hour, though, we'll see traffic starting to build enough that at the Burnsville split we may start to see some reduced speeds. But so far, even getting to the airport, no trouble there. You may want to check on your flight status in case the fog may play a role in that, but so far we're not hearing any major issues there. We're going to get now to our weather and hear more about it. We're seeing pretty smooth traffic conditions. The roadway, since it's warm enough, as you said, we're not seeing the ice, so it's not slick out there, but we are dealing with a little bit of patchy fog depending where you're coming from. So far, I'm seeing those traffic cameras. It's mostly on the northern side of town where it looks like we're seeing it, but that's just the cameras that I have to look at, which is probably about 100. This is 35W and Highway 10 up in Mounds View, that intersection of the two major highways. A little bit of congestion here, but we're still moving at the posted speed, so that's probably what concerns you, the driver about to head out the door. Southbound traffic is the heaviest right here. Up on 94, the reason I say up is it's mostly up in the northwest where we're seeing the fog there. Not impacting traffic too badly, but you can see it's enough fog. It's definitely noticeable. Eastbound traffic here at Highway 101 is where we see the heaviest traffic at this hour. Approach now and then we're seeing a bit of a reduced speed, but the real action will start in about half an hour. So for now, guys, back over to you.
All right, thanks, Kelsey.
The areas, and I'm finding mostly on the north side of town where the fog looks to be affecting traffic just a bit. We're still cruising at the posted speeds in most areas, but on Highway 10 at Hanson Boulevard, we see that eastbound traffic steady, continuing to build, and maybe a little fog playing a role in making those drivers drive a little more caution. Another spot where we see that fog definitely a little bit more thick than other areas, or thicker, I should say. This is 94 up in the Northwest Metro at Highway 101. That eastbound traffic continuing to build. The brake lights haven't gone on quite yet, but if you're ending up in these patchy fog areas, you may see some reduced speeds, especially as we approach the 7 o'clock hour. This look at Highway 5 from the Airport Road jam cam. We saw some police activity. It was reported, I think, near Post Road where we saw some of that going on. It looks like what I was looking at has been moved out of the shot, so hopefully that means it's out of the way for you, the driver, or it's just not significant enough where it's going to be causing any major slowdown. Where traffic is building, particularly in the southbound direction up north of 94. We have some stoplights up there. That's why you see that orangish red color that indicates some really slow speeds. 35W southbound continues to build, especially at that junction of Highway 10. And moving to the south side of town, just starting to see that 494 corridor and the crosstown getting busier. I'll be sure to let you know if we have any major slowdowns, Tom, but so far so good.
That sounds good. All right. Thank you, Kels.
Morning to you. Thanks for waking up with us here at the Fox 9 Morning News Morning Show. We like to have you along, and if you're about to head onto the roadway, we have a few things to talk about. One of those is the fog. We're seeing it impacting visibility on the northern side of our metro area. This is a peak on 35 just north of that Forest Lake split before 35W and 35E split off from one another heading in the southbound direction. We're seeing that southbound traffic building, and it looks like the speeds are moving along at what is posted, about 55, 60 miles per hour, but just use some caution, especially as we get closer to 7 o'clock. We could definitely see things slow down a bit. Same goes for the Northwest Metro. This is 94 at Elm Creek, just as you're entering Maple Grove. This is eastbound traffic we're seeing getting heavier, and the speeds already reduced, probably due to visibility. We wouldn't normally be seeing the slowdowns like this till closer to 7 o'clock, but they're happening just a little bit earlier this morning, again, because of that fog. So until that clears, be prepared for some slowdowns in the northern suburbs. This is a look a little bit clearer. This is in St. Paul at 35E and Larpenteur Avenue. We see that southbound traffic particularly heavy, but so far no stop and go conditions in place. That's the good news. Again, that heart of rush, for the most part, we still have plenty of green. So I'm here to let you know when we start to see the speeds reduce. So stay tuned. I'll be back in about 10-15 minutes with an update. For now, though, we're taking a quick break. Some of that patchy fog at times dense enough where those speeds are reducing. Right now, 35W and Highway 10, which is already a busy junction during the morning rush hour, is definitely seeing some slowdowns. So be prepared. Use a little caution in that dense fog. We don't want anyone running into trouble. This is 35 just north of that 35W 35E split up in Forest Lake. We see heavy traffic in both directions here and over 294. We've been seeing the backups here for about half an hour now. This is just west of 101st Avenue, and as you're seeing the traffic moving eastbound, it doesn't get much easier going between 101 and into Maple Grove. So expect once you hit the delays, we see through Rogers that orange color indicating speeds of about 15 to 34 miles per hour at times. Some stop and go conditions, and they're going to get worse as we get close to the 7 o'clock hour. I wouldn't say you have to dash out the door early quite yet, but once we get between 7 and 8 o'clock, where traffic conditions are already pretty brutal, it's going to get slow in that area. 35W southbound continues to be heavy just north of 10. I'd say 95th Avenue is probably where the brake lights are going on, moving southbound to 694. Moving to the south side of town, 61 northbound traffic between 494 and 94 continues to build. That traffic into St. Paul, we see the slowdown starting about 61, and then you cruise on in to 94 or into St. Paul. Not at a cruising speed. To the Southwest Metro, check it out. If you're seeing a little bit of yellow and orange pop up in the crosstown, that's to be expected. No crashes reported at this hour, but I'll be sure to let you know when some of those pop up. That's it for now from the world of traffic, so let's get back over to Tom and Alex.
Thank you, Kelsey.
It is that fog that's causing some of our traffic, I do believe. This is at 94 headed eastbound up in the Northwest Metro at 101st Avenue. So as you're making the trek, possibly from as far northwest as St. Cloud, down eastbound through Monticello into Rogers into Maple Grove, you're going to start seeing those backups here. We have the traffic reducing its speed about 101st Avenue and continuing on. Looks like it's not quite as dense as maybe it was about half hour ago, but still playing a role here. We're checking out now 94 over on the east side of town. This is as you head into St. Paul in the westbound direction. We have a stalled vehicle at White Bear Avenue. As a result, we have traffic starting to get really backed up. As far east as McKnight Road, we're seeing some of those brake lights going on. Looking, and again, fog, a possible reason we're seeing that crash over in the western suburbs. So just want to use a little caution out there in the foggy areas. Guys, back over to you. News continues now. Hi everyone, I'm Kelsey Soby. A happy Tuesday to you. We're dealing with a little fog out on our roadways, which is slowing things down. Here's a peek at 35W and Highway 10 in Mounds View. That's southbound traffic making its way toward the more central metro area. And not only is this already a busy intersection during the morning rush hour, but that fog's not making it any easier. It's mostly concentrated on the northern and western side of the Twin Cities, and we'll get to the map in a minute and show you where those foggy patches are really concentrated the most. This is 94 heading in the westbound direction is where we see some really slow traffic at McKnight Road heading towards St. Paul. We had a stalled vehicle at White Bear Avenue, and that involved getting a tow truck on the scene and removing it and doing all that good stuff. That involves a lot of flashing lights and a lot of checking it out. So we did see some drivers slow down, and therefore we're dealing with some stop and go conditions already. This is Highway 212 over in Eden Prairie. We had a crash near the 494 loop, slowing things down, as well as some of the fog over and on 35 coming down 35W and 35E. So be prepared. You may see some visibility issues as well as reduced speeds. That's it for now from the world of traffic. So let's get now to some bad traffic on 36 heading in the westbound direction. We have a crash at Cleveland, which is not helping things here, looking more like a parking lot than a highway. This is where the crash is. Not the best camera, but enough to see there are plenty of flashing lights. Part of the lane is closed, and we have a flatbed on the way to help get that vehicle out of there. See some of that fog impacting traffic between Rogers and Maple Grove, so heavy stuff headed in the eastbound direction. Same goes for Highway 10 from Anoka into Coon Rapids. And to the northeast metro, a little bit of fog just north of that Forest Lake split, making things a little slow as you try and push to the more central metro area. And 494 in the crosstown definitely lit up with color, meaning some reduced speeds here. Same goes for 35W northbound at 743. We're in the heart of rush hour, so expect some typical delays as well, some related to fog. That's it for me. So Tom, Alex, take it away.
All right, thanks, Kel.
Morning, everyone. Hope your Tuesday morning is starting off great. I'm Kelsey Soby, keeping an eye on the roadways for you. And so far, most of the trouble we've been seeing is due to some fog in the northern and western suburbs, but right now we do have a few crashes out there as well, slowing things down. Let's look at the crosstown at Lyndale Avenue, where we have a crash. Looks like it's pulled onto this shoulder here, but definitely seeing that slow going traffic trying to make its way by. We'd typically be seeing the crosstown pretty active at this hour, and this crash is just going to make it a little bit worse. Checking out 94 westbound, we had a crash at 280, and that's slowing things as you're trying to make that exit onto 280 or University Avenue, so be prepared. Obviously, some very much stop stopped conditions at this point. This isn't actually 94, though. This is as you're approaching a stoplight, so we would see some slowdowns, but that's going to start to filter back out onto 94 and slow things down all up in the northern side of town. Supposed to burn off hopefully by about 9 o'clock, but for now, still playing a role, especially on the 94 corridor coming in eastbound into Maple Grove. That's where we're seeing some reduced speeds as a result of that fog. I'll keep you posted if we see things improve, but until then, we'll see you back here in just a few minutes because we're
tomorrow.
Yeah, now we know why ours is a brunch.
Yeah, and here at the station.
It doesn't stop some people, though.
Juice, yes. Well, we can get a little crazy anyway. Good morning to you guys, and hello to all of you at home. Let's look outside, shall we? Higher stretch from 35E to 35W. Here's a look from the Dale Street Jam Cam, and we do see almost like a parking lot here. So what are your alternates? Well, let's check it out. They're looking better than 30 backups at all in the Maple Grove area. It's 494 southbound where we're seeing some slowdowns, and cruising down to the southeast. A stalled vehicle at 61 is slowing westbound traffic into St. Paul and to the southwest. Plenty of activity here, so we're not out of the woods yet as far as that congestion goes. I'll be back in about 15 minutes with an update. Let's talk now about our weather, and hello to all of you. Happy Tuesday. We're looking at some heavy traffic still in parts of the metro, and here's why. We have a few crashes out there. Some of that fog that's been playing a role in the congestion a little farther north seems to not be as big of a deal anymore, but things like this just aren't going to help. This is at Roselawn Avenue, heading southbound on 35E, already a highly congested route on your way into downtown St. Paul, and with a 3-vehicle crash, it's a little slow going, as you can see here. 36 westbound hasn't gained much speed after a crash at Cleveland Avenue, a multi-vehicle crash, and we have stop and go conditions like this from 35W all the way to 35E. Looking now to 35W heading toward downtown Minneapolis, we have a stalled vehicle here at Chicago Avenue, not helping southbound. That's good news, although we do still have some slow moments here as you approach 694. If you do have 36 westbound on your route, if you can, I would take 694. That's a little bit better going westbound. It's also a little bit easier on 94 where we have green, meaning speeds of 55 miles per hour or better. So things will continue winding down as long as we get those crashes clear. Hopefully we're out of the woods as far as the fog goes. That's it for me and the world of traffic here on the Fox 9 Morning News. So let's get over to Tom.